Here I'm at Greystone Park in the city of San Jose. First and foremost, I'd like to rebuke San Jose and the communities and schools here for not raising people who rally and obey God through me, but instead collaborating with the racist oppressor government to suppress my videos. Okay, my goodness, life is short. I don't know how people make that mistake, but they make it consistently. And they put things like their children's, before God. They don't understand the message of Abraham and Isaac. They don't understand that their children are better off dead than living the lives that they are training them and raising them to lead. So now let's look at Deuteronomy 1, which overkills my point. I mean, the whole Bible is about why not to put your children or yourself or your desire to live or your career before God. Rebellion against the Lord. Deuteronomy 1, verse 26. But you were unwilling to go up. You rebelled against the command of the Lord your God. So they were unwilling to go up against the enemies of God, which is what Santa Clara County and the whole world is doing at this time. Instead, they do things like this, this kind of summer concert event, right? They're all revelers, kind of rock and roll, kind of jazz. Instead, there we go. It says classic rock. I didn't know this sign was going to be here. That proves my point. You see how they don't look like holy people? No offense to them, because they're not living holy lives. They're living reveler lives. That's just one of many cultures that perfectly exemplifies what not to do. Okay. It says, but you were unwilling to go up. You rebelled against the command of the Lord your God. The command, the chain of commands, the commandments, what have you. Okay. You grumbled in your tents and said, the Lord hates us. So he brought us up out of Egypt to deliver us into the hands of the Amorites to destroy us. Where can we go? Our brothers have made our hearts melt in fear. They say the people are stronger and taller than we are. The cities are large with walls up to the sky. We even saw the Anakites. So what are they saying? They're saying that they're tougher than they are. Okay. Like it says in Proverbs, right? The sluggard says there's a roaring lion in the city streets, that he'll be killed. Okay, they're scared of what might happen to them. Does God say that's understandable? Hey, you have families and stuff like this? No, he does not. Then I said to you, do not be terrified, do not be afraid of them. The Lord your God, who is going before you, will fight for you as he did for you in Egypt before your very eyes. Now how? They're going to be in the Spirit of God, which is the warrior spirit of God. And he will take on, and in that spirit, the Spirit in them, when they do the right thing, not when they do the wrong thing, will do the fighting for them. So the Spirit will kind of direct them, will kind of carry them away in the Spirit, right? To spirit it off, right? Means be taken away. Okay. And in the wilderness, there you saw how the Lord your God carried you as a father carries his son, all the way you went until you reached this place. And they fought various battles and so on and so forth. In spite of this, you did not trust in the Lord your God, who went ahead of you on your journey, in fire by night and in a cloud by day, to search out places for you to camp and to show you the way you should go. When the Lord heard what you said, he was angry and solemnly swore, no one from this evil generation will see the good land I swore to give your ancestors. So you see a lot of liberals, they don't want people to get angry no matter what. They're wrong. A lot of conservatives don't want you to be angry unless you're reinforcing, white supremacy and conservative thinking. They're wrong. You see here clearly, this transcends the flesh. God said to them, he said, all of you, all you flesh huggers, all you earth huggers, said, no one from this evil generation will see the good land I swore to give your ancestors, except Caleb, son of Jephunneh. He will see it, and I will give him and his descendants the land he set his feet on, because he followed the Lord wholeheartedly. So what does it mean to follow the Lord wholeheartedly? Wholeheartedly. Excuse me. Not wholeheartedly. That's, but wholeheartedly. It is to accept adversity, especially in matters of clashing with the people around you. Okay? Everyone doesn't get this. Even the guy who played Jesus in one of these movies, he says that everyone, especially in America, is, because that's where he's from, is more afraid of the devil than of God. They don't understand Deuteronomy 1. They have no business teaching or calling themselves a Christian or telling people how they should behave, because they didn't remove the rainforest, the log, from their own eye. Pretty straightforward. Okay. Because of you, the Lord became angry with him. Excuse me. The Lord became angry with me also and said, and again, this is the guy in the, this is the narrator saying this, supposedly Moses. He says, because of you, the Lord became angry with me also and said, you shall not enter it either, but your assistant Joshua son of Nun will enter it. Encourage him because he will lead Israel to inherit it. And the little ones that you said would be taken captive, your children who do not yet know good from bad, they will enter the land. I will give it to them and they will take possession of it. But as for you, turn around and set out toward the desert along the route to the Red Sea. Then you replied, we have sinned against the Lord. We will go up and fight as the Lord our God commanded us. So every one of you put on his weapons, thinking it easy to go up into the hill country. Okay, so what had happened here? God does not approve of them doing what they think they should do. Okay, it's like all these racist people, all these LGBT supremacists, all these social clubs, all these churches, all these government people trying to tell me what to do. I said, no, you do what God tells you to do. God set me apart, Psalm 2, as a leader. I do not do what you tell me to do. You do what I tell you to do because I'm the one God chose to lead, and you people don't know God. You can only connect God through me. I am the way, the truth, and the life. I'm the gate. But they don't get that, do they? So what happens to people like them? Well, let's keep reading. Okay. But the Lord said to me, tell them, do not go up and fight because I will not be with you. You will be defeated by your enemies. Remember, all victories are in principle, right? When John the Baptist died for what's right, okay, he defeated the Jews who were against him. When Jesus died for what's right, he defeated the Romans and the Jews that were against him. Okay, Stephen the martyr, and so on and so forth. So it's saying the victory that brings you into heaven as a man instead of going to hell as a worm who looks in things in terms of, you know, the mark of the beast, what an animal would consider victory instead of a man of principle. Pretty straightforward. Okay. So I told you, but you would not listen. You rebelled against the Lord's command. In your arrogance, you marched up into the hill country. The Amorites who lived in those hills came out against you. They chased you like a swarm of bees and beat you down from Seir all the way back to Hormah. Hormah is a play on words for Ham, Hor. Hor is a word like Har and Haru for Horus. Okay? So they're saying, learn the lesson from Horus that is well understood in the ancient world, that be for justice and righteousness. Right? And the word Seir is a play on words for Eri. And Eri is the Ebo Eri, and it's Haro Aries, the son of God. Okay? And as what the Egyptians would describe. Now remember, the Egyptians weren't Jews, but they described things in a similar way. Okay? They said God had a son, and that, you know, God is associated with the son. The Jews said the same thing in Malachi 4 and Psalm 19. Okay? In Revelation, the root and offspring of David and the bright morning star. So this is absolutely a valid connection, as we see names like Moses means to draw out, and he said the Lord is his name. Okay. So let me just wrap this up real quickly here. So we see in Psalm 118, okay, that it says, or Psalm 119, excuse me. Oh no, it's 118. He says, all the nations surrounded me, but in the name of the Lord I cut them down. So what's he referring to? They all surrounded him in their cultural mentalities. And as he stood in the name of God in principle, God triumphed him over all the conformists. And so that when he died, he went to heaven. And that's the message of carrying your cross, right? Stephen the martyr again, John the Baptist, Christ himself. It is a symbol of martial arts victory over the other philosophies as they refuse to man up when ver in virtue means man. Okay. Now it says, you came back and wept before the Lord, but he paid no attention to your weeping and turned a deaf ear to you. So you stayed in Kadesh many days, all the time you spent there. Okay, so this, in Deuteronomy 1, it made it clear what is and isn't the warrior spirit of God, right? Those who obey God versus those who just claim to. And when they think that they can do it themselves without following the divine chain of command, okay, that the commandments come through, that they fail. They fail in principle first and foremost, okay? Because when you meet your maker and you look at this thing, you say, okay, did I succeed in life or did I fail? Well, did you obey God, right? Like it says in Luke 6:46, I believe it is, why'd you call me Lord, Lord, and do not do what I say? And what he said is, here's my son who I love. He put the spirit on him. Listen to him. God set me apart as the top martial artist ever possible. And he's saying to listen to me.